Are you thinking about buying the new Opel Corsa? Before you sign anything, you need to hear this, because Opel just turned Europe's favorite small car into something with two completely different personalities. One that sips fuel and saves you money, and another one, called the GSE, that can hit 62 miles an hour in just 5.5 seconds. So, which one is it really? A sensible city runabout, or a genuine hot hatch in disguise? Stick around, because we're breaking down everything, the good and the bad, so you know exactly what you're getting into. Let's start with how it looks, because that's usually the first thing that grabs you. The front end wears what Opel calls the visor, basically a slab of glossy black plastic that blends the grille, the LED headlights, and the Opel badge into one seamless panel. Does it look premium? Honestly, yes, especially in the darker paint colors. On the top trims, you get Opel's IntelliLux LED matrix headlights. And these aren't your average headlights. They use 14 individually controlled LED elements that can bend light around oncoming cars automatically. So you get full beam almost all the time, without blinding anyone else on the road. Around the back, there's bold Corsa lettering spread across the tailgate, and slim LED taillights that tie the whole design together. You can option a bitone look too, like that coral orange with a contrasting black roof, which honestly turns heads more than you'd expect from a small hatchback. Now the car itself measures a little over 4 meters long, so it's genuinely compact, great for narrow European streets and tight parking spots. But here's the catch. This is not a tall, roomy Super Mini. It sits low, and while that helps handling, taller drivers might find the low roofline a bit restrictive if you're constantly dealing with speed bumps or rough driveways. Wheels range from 16-inch alloys on the base cars up to 18-inch alloys on the sportiest GSE version, wrapped in proper performance rubber. Opel keeps things simple with a single 5-door layout across the whole range now, so no more stripped-down 3-door version like the old Corsa OPC days. It's a good-looking car, no doubt, but is it revolutionary? Not really. It's more evolution than revolution, and if you were hoping for something wildly different from the last Corsa, you might be a little underwhelmed. Step inside, and the story continues. Opel offers an optional, fully digital cockpit built on Qualcomm's Snapdragon platform, paired with a touchscreen up to 10 inches wide, ambient lighting, and a flat-bottomed sports steering wheel that feels genuinely nice in your hands. Higher trims add heated seats, a heated steering wheel, keyless entry, and even a panoramic glass roof if you want to let more light in. Sounds pretty upscale for a small car, right? It is, but there are trade-offs. The plastics lower down in the cabin are noticeably harder and darker, which can make the interior feel a bit gloomy, especially with a smaller glass house cutting down on natural light. And storage is genuinely stingy. The door bins are shallow, the glove box is small, and there's barely room in the center armrest for your phone and wallet. Boot space sits at around 309 liters, which is competitive but not class-leading, expanding to just over 1,000 liters with the rear seats folded flat. Though there's no powered tailgate, even as an option, which feels like a missed trick in 2026. On the technology side, this is really where the Corsa tries to punch above its size. Beyond that clever matrix lighting, you get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, voice control through Hey Opel, over-the-air software updates, and a genuinely useful suite of driver assistance features. Adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, automatic emergency braking, pedestrian detection, blind spot warning, and a 180-degree panoramic reversing camera that makes tight parking almost foolproof. Is the software as slick as what you'd find in, say, a Volkswagen or a Hyundai? It's close, but not quite there. Some reviewers note the touchscreen response can lag slightly, and a few of the more advanced connected services do require an ongoing subscription after the first few years. Now let's talk about what's actually happening under the hood, because this is where the Corsa gets genuinely interesting. The entry point is a turbocharged 1.2-liter 3-cylinder petrol engine, offered around 75 to 100 horsepower with a manual gearbox. It'll get you to 62 miles an hour in about 13 seconds, with a top speed around 108 to 117 miles an hour, depending on the state of tune. Not fast, but perfectly fine for daily driving. And you can still get it with a proper 6-speed manual if you like rowing your own gears. Step up to the 48-volt mild hybrid version, and you get either 110 or 145 horsepower, paired with a 6-speed dual-clutch automatic and around 205 to 230 newton-meters of torque, which makes it noticeably smoother in town. Go electric, and you're looking at either 136 or 156 horsepower motor, drawing from a battery pack that supports a real-world range in the low to mid 200s of miles. But then there's the one everyone's talking about, the Corsa GSE. 207 kilowatts, 281 horsepower, 345 newton meters of torque, a genuine Torsen limited slip differential, Alcon brakes, and a 0 to 62 time of just 5.5 seconds. That is faster than a Volkswagen Golf GTI in a car the size of a Super Mini. Opel even lowered the suspension and stiffened the chassis specifically for this version. The trade-off? All that performance eats into range and ride comfort. The GSE's suspension is noticeably firmer, so if comfort is your priority, this isn't the trim for you. So how does it treat your wallet at the pump? Or the plug? The mild hybrid models return around 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers combined, which is genuinely efficient for a car of this size, while the base 1.2 petrol sits a little higher, around 5 liters per 100 kilometers. The electric versions are even more impressive on paper, using somewhere between 14 and 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, depending on the motor. Just remember, these are combined European test figures, not a city versus highway split like you'd get in the US. Real-world city driving tends to be a bit kinder to the hybrid and electric versions, thanks to regenerative braking, while sustained motorway speeds will drop your range and fuel economy noticeably, especially in the GSE. And if you're hoping to tow a trailer or a small caravan with this car, don't count on it. The electric Corsa isn't officially rated for towing at all, and even the petrol versions are only really suited to very light loads. This is a city car at heart, not a workhorse. Safety-wise, the Corsa carries a 4-star Euro NCAP rating with solid scores of 84% for adult protection and 86% for child protection. You get 6 airbags as standard, ISOFIX mounts, and that full suite of driver assistance tech we already covered. But 4 stars isn't 5, and it's worth knowing that rivals like the Renault Clio have scored a full 5 stars in the same testing regime. So if outright crash safety is your #1 priority, it's worth cross-shopping. On the flip side, the electric Corsa actually won Green NCAP's full award for efficiency, scoring 5 green stars, genuinely one of the most energy-efficient EVs tested. So if low running costs and a light environmental footprint matter more to you than a 5-star crash score, the electric Corsa still makes a strong case for itself. And finally, the money question. In the UK, the standard petrol Corsa starts at just over £19,000, climbing to around £30,000 for the fully loaded hybrid and electric trims. The GSE, meanwhile, starts at £34,495, though government EV grants can knock that down to around £32,995. Worth remembering, this car isn't sold in the United States at all. It's strictly a European and UK model, badged as an Opel on the continent and a Vauxhall in Britain. So, is the new Corsa worth it? If you want an efficient, well-equipped city car with genuinely clever lighting tech, yes, easily. And if you want a proper pocket rocket that can humble a hot hatch twice its price, the GSE might just be the most exciting small car Opel has built in years. Just go in knowing the trade-offs: tight rear seats, small storage, a 4-star safety score, and a stiff ride if you go for the fast one. That's the real story behind Made for Fun. Let me know down in the comments which version you'd actually buy, and I'll see you in the next one.